Alright, back once again, Twisted Nightmare Gaming. We've got CJ here one more time. He's gonna profile a deck for us. What you got today for us, bro?
GardySwampy. So, big shout out to Andrew Mahone for kind of starting this list. I think most of it is still his, but I'm not running his Ace of Roll list. I don't really like the Ace of Roll list, but that's just personal preference. So we have, we kind of start the duo with 4 Ralts, and I'll kind of explain this deck for those of you who really don't know what's going on. So the Ralts basically get me to Gardevoir, and then I run a few Curlia. I run 3 to be extra safe. So they also get me to Gardevoir. So none of that really matters. What does matter though is the 3 Gardevoir GX. So Gardevoir GX is a full inclusive awesome package. Like, we got the Secret Spring ability once per turn. Before you attack, of course. You can attach a Fairy Energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon, so it's pretty broken. Because normally you're allowed to attach 1 energy per turn. Here you can see we can add multiple energies per turn. Her Infinite Force attack does 30 times the amount of energy attached to her and the Pokemon she's hitting. So she can stack up all this energy on herself and then just whack. Most of the time getting a kill with it. So this is a pretty nice attack. And you can see how it synergizes with the ability. Twilight GX, shuffle 10 cards from your discard pile into your deck. So you can see we also have the recovery to build back in a late game. So this is an all-inclusive package except it's stage 2. So we need to find a way to circumvent the stage 2. Now, one of the provisions in which you can do it is to simply draw cards until you hit every component and just evolve it up. We have that in the deck, so we're going to be running 2 Mudkips and 2 Power Draw Swamperts. So the idea with Swampert here is that his ability allows you to discard 1 card once per turn and then draw 3 cards. So it allows you to kind of build into the proper components to maybe rare candy into a Gardevoir or just get your Curlia set up, and you can set up your Gardevoirs this way. His attack is Hydro Pump. It requires 3 colorless, 3 of any energy. It does a base of 80 damage, but 20 more for each water energy attached to him. So you're going to kind of see we have a plan to use that attack in some games, even though we don't have any basic water energy in the deck. So we'll see that when that comes up. Take notice, though, that he's also stage 2. We've solved no problems yet. We've only created more problems by including more stage 2 Pokemon. However, to get to that stage 2 point, we run 2 Eevee and 2 Sylveon. So the idea here is that the Eevees, we gotta go over those first, really. They have an energy evolution ability. When you attach a basic energy to them from your hand, you can search your deck for a Pokemon that has that energy typing as the typing of their card that evolves from Eevee, and just slap it right down on top of Eevee. So we can immediately get to Sylveon, which is nuts. Then once we're at Sylveon, we have 3 attacks. We have Magical Ribbon. We can search our deck for any 3 cards we want and put them in our hand and shuffle the deck. So you know we're getting that Rare Candy Gardevoir, that Rare Candy Swampert, and that Draw Supporter that we need. Like, this card really does start the train for this deck. Fairy Wind attack does 110 damage with Fairy Energy and a double colorless energy, which we run both of. This is actually mad useful against Rayquaza because Rayquaza has 180 hit points and he's weak to Fairy, so he actually is going to take 220 damage from this Fairy Wind, allowing you to just easily clear the Rayquaza opponent. So you can see this deck is really, really great against Rayquaza. We run 2 Tapu Leles because we don't run a whole lot of draw supporters because of the Swampert, but we still need to see those draw supporters, so we need these outs to Wonder Tag to be able to search our deck for any supporter and kind of reset the match a little bit. So that's all of our Pokemon. For the supporters, we'll begin with the standard for Cynthia. Shuffle, draw 6, just way too good. Then we go Guzmas. We run 3. I've playtested it with 4. It doesn't feel any different, to be honest. So I just run 3 because I can use that extra space for something else. So
makes sense.
1 copy of Fan Club. Search your deck for any 2 basic Pokemon and slap them in your hand. This is great because we can go get the Ralts and the Eevee, Ralts and the Mudkip, whatever we're missing in that early turn. We can go get those 2 Pokemon. So this is pretty great when you can turn 1 Lele into a Pokemon Fan Club just to go ahead and get things started. And with all those Pokemon already down, you get into the Sylveon, and you can evolve whichever one you choose to kind of be your battlefield, kind of be your dude for the battlefield. So I love this card a lot. We run 1 Lily because if we have a lot of Pokemon turn 1, maybe we don't need more. We use the Tapu Lele on turn 1 to go get the Lily, and now we draw until we have 8. So we can kind of maybe naturally hit into that Rare Candy Swampert, that Rare Candy Gardevoir, whatever we're looking for with the Lily. We want to run 1 copy of Judge, mainly for Rayquaza's Tempest if we have a slow start, but I mean, it's also really good against Algorithm. I mean, Metagross does take a deep embedded, like, just match against this. Like it's just everything's weak to steel. So Metagross does really well. So we kind of want to judge that algorithm and get it out of play. Judge the Stevens resolve even. It's one of those cards we just run it to make sure our opponent doesn't set up as well as they might be able to. It's also a good disruption for the late game if we're trying to stall into some good components. For items, we run the very standard 4 Ultra Balls. Dropping 2 and discarding 2 and getting any Pokemon from your deck is just so good. We run 4 Nest Ball. For free, we can search our deck and go get a basic Pokemon and slap it on the bench. So you see these situations that might occur where you have multiple bench basic Pokemon. You might not need that fan club. We go for the Lily instead. We run 4 Rare Candy because we run 5 Stage 2s in the deck, and we preferably like to hit them all, try to hit them all into the field. A lot of Rare Candy stress in this deck because your first one's automatically dedicated to Swampert. If you prize one, that means you have 2 left. So you gotta kind of micromanage your Rare Candy use a little bit. We run 2 Max Potions. Max Potion's great because if you only need to get a little bit of damage to actually secure a KO with the Gardevoir, maybe only taking 1 or 2 energies to do so, Max Potion can fully heal the Gardevoir at the expense of the energy. However, it does restore her massive pool of 230 HP, leading her to be a kind of tank Pokemon. The reason why we don't care about the energy getting discarded is because Twilight can bring it all back into the deck at some point. Choice Band is awesome in this deck because Gardevoir gets 30 for every energy attached to her and the opponent Pokemon. Maybe I can attach 1 less energy and use a Choice Band to complete the knockout I'm trying to hit, which is awesome because it allows me to use my Max Potions more liberally. So Choice Band's pretty good. Run 1 Escape Rope. Only off chance that the Guzma removal was bad. Just having a switch card is nice. You never know when your opponent tries to BS you in some way by pulling up a Pokemon you can't attack with. Escape Rope's just really nice because we could also kind of use it in conjunction with a particular magical ribbon some turns if we're just trying to attack with something and just get it into active in the same turn and then shuffle draw the hand. Escape Rope is used for that as well. So I really don't, if you're going to cut a card from the deck, it's probably the Escape Rope. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like it, so I'm still just kind of running it. For energy, I'm known for running very low energy counts, but in this deck we're running a few.
If you don't believe me or him, go back and watch some of the previous deck profiles.
Oh yeah. So we're running 8 Fairy Energy, but it only starts there. We also run 4 DCE and 1 Super Boost. So we're actually sitting around 13 energy in this deck. So let's kind of talk about the energy a little bit here because the energy is kind of the most important part about this deck, I feel, just because we know Gardevoir works off of how much energy we have attached. So I want to do some of the numbers with you real quick. The Swampert Hydro Pump actually takes 3 energy, but if we have 3 Stage 2s in play, Super Boost energy counts as 4 of any energy you want it to count as. So we just say it all counts as water energy, and all of a sudden we have enough energy to use Hydro Pump. We have 4 energies for it. So 4 times 20, we get 80 with a Hydro Pump. 80 plus 80 gives us 160. With a Choice Band, it's 190. So Swampert hits some big moves for a non-EX, non-GX Pokemon with a singular energy attached. It really does take the Swampert high. Now, on the off chance that you don't use it for the Swampert, which is fine, you can use it on one of your 3 Gardevoirs. Now, where does that leave your energy for the other Gardevoirs then? So we try to divvy it up. We try to say maybe one of those get prized, one of those get prized, right? So we say, okay, we put 2 double colorless on one Gardevoir with a Fairy Energy. So she's got 5. She can automatically hit for 150, plus 30 from Choice Band, plus 30 for every single energy on the opponent's Pokemon. And we put the rest of the Fairy Energies. We're going to expend 1 to Sylveon every game. We know this. So we put the rest into this Gardevoir. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, or 6, 7, because we have the DC as well. So this Gardevoir will hit for 210 damage, plus Choice Band 240, plus 30 for every energy the opponent Pokemon has. So you can see we hit massive numbers based on how we dedicate the energy. Now, if we were to use this for Swampert, then we'd kind of shuffle this up a little bit more. We would apply a DCE to each one. We'd apply a couple Fairy Energies to each one. And we have our kind of basic setup for a Gardevoir. So how do we get this in play? We manual attach, Secret Spring 1, Secret Spring 2, and we have this basic setup of just 4 energy. It's kind of modest. It's only 120 damage. With a Choice Band, you can pump it to 150, but it's plus 30 for every single energy that the opponent Pokemon has on it. So if you're playing against Zoroark, really this is going to be a 180 damage. Plus a Choice Band. Okay, so we're right at that moment where we're actually hitting the right number to kill the Zoroark. If you're fighting Buzzwole, he's going to have 1 energy on him sometimes, but sometimes he's going to have 3. If he has 3, this is killing him without a choice band. So it's one of those things that's like, this even bare minimum energy setup, assuming that this one goes to Sylveon and that these 2 are prized. Imagine if the other 2 aren't prized and we have another access to DCE. Well, then we have an attacker who can hit 6 energy very easily. 180 damage, 2 Timber of Choice Band, plus 30, again, for every single energy attached to the opponent's Pokemon. It really does turn out to be some pretty amazing numbers. So this deck does work very well with energy. It's easy to get energy on the board. It's easy to keep energy on the board. It's got a really nice Sylveon match, I feel, because you can easily kill the opponent's Sylveon. You can easily kill the opponent's Sylveon on top of being able to switch around and get the right things in the right places. Twilight GX to kind of make the game a little bit longer. It does have those types of strengths. So I would say probably the top 3 decks in our meta so far have probably been Zoroark, Lycanroc, which is probably this deck's hardest game. It's very, very long and grueling and difficult, but you can make it through that game. You can make it work. If you're taking big kills on these Zoroarks in 1 hit with the Gardevoir, max potioning at wise times, then you'll be just fine. Another one of the big decks of our format have been Shrine. So Shrine does give the whooping to this deck pretty hard, in a large sense. I mean, but it's not impossible to just stack 4 energy on a Gardevoir and just flush your opponent down the toilet as well. So you never really know exactly what's going to pop off. Just don't play a lot of item cards. This deck can run pretty well on just a rare candy, honestly, and a couple nest balls. And as long as you don't play too many item cards, you're actually beating that Shrine deck. And then in terms of Rayquaza is absolutely stomped on Sylveon basis alone. Sylveon Magical Ribbons once gets a DCE, and then just starts Fairy Winding for knockout and everything in the deck. So, sweet deck list. Again, thanks to Andrew Mahone for the idea. Yes, that's pretty cool.
Got anything else to say, man?
I think that's about it. I mean, if you're ever looking for something at least spicy to play, just kind of fun and different, this is the deck. I wouldn't say it's like amazing. I played 1 tournament with it. It bricked pretty hard for me, and I didn't have healing options in the deck at that point. I think the healing is really important. Mahone has also kind of promoted the use of healing cards as well. So I think the 2 Lele's, a lot of people have talked about bringing it down to 1, but honestly, when you're only running 6 draw supporters, you really should have your Lele counter 2 just to be safe.
Alright, once again, this is Nightmare, Twisted Nightmare Gaming, and CJ once again doing another Pokemon deck profile. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Subscribe, people! That's how you get more of this. That's how you get more.
And we do have a special guest, by the way. I did forget to mention that. We do have Luna Star 10-3 over here. She's over there on her phone right now. She's probably going to kill me when we get back in the car. But it is what it is. I'll take the whooping later. You guys have a great night.
Bye-bye.